And now for the second part of In Touch this week, Crime Beat with my other best friend, Mr. Ray Larson, Van Collins attorney. Hello.
Good morning, Don.
Morning. We're going to talk about, walking through the door. You were ranting and raving about this Turpin case.
In 1986, where were you in 1986?
I was working for WHIC. That stood for Hardinsburg, Irvington, and Cloverport in Breckinridge County as a disc jockey, and I guess that was my senior year of high school. I was in high school, wasn't a cop.
Well, in 1986, I became Commonwealth's attorney the 2nd of January 1985. And in 1985, we had 26 homicides in Lexington, Kentucky, just completely.
It's pretty close to the most we've ever had.
It is the most we've ever had. And so I began a process of trying a lot of homicide cases. For some of the listeners, they'll remember LaFonda Faye Foster and Tina Hickey Powell, who killed 5 people in one night.
Was that in 85?
Yep. And then there was another case that became a heartbreaker, and that was Michael Turpin was murdered. And he was murdered not by his wife, but she arranged to have him killed for insurance money. And we tried that case, and it probably got the most community attention of any trial I've ever had here. Here was this girl that had been married to this guy for less than a year, and she got involved in some sort of a lesbian relationship with somebody she worked for out at Superior Nissan, out off Nicholasville Road. Her name was Karen Brown. Elizabeth Turpin wanted Karen to find somebody that would kill her husband.
What was the motive? Was there an insurance policy?
Yeah, there was an insurance policy for $60,000. And so it happened. She got this Keith Bouchard, and Keith Bouchard and Karen Brown went over to the apartment that Michael Turpin and Elizabeth Turpin lived in. Elizabeth had conveniently gotten away from the apartment that night.
Was that over here off Nicholasville
Old Farm area, that kind of, yeah. Yes, it was, that's right. And so what happened was they stabbed him 19 times, then they took him out to, his body out to Jacobson Park. You know, and every time I see this advertisement about Kentucky American Water donating Jacobson Park to the city, and they want to know memories you have about Jacobson Park, it reminds me of the fact that they dumped his body.
Well, this job will do that to you, because I do the same thing. When I drive through town, if I'm not careful, I look at places that I've worked homicides, and you never forget. You get that same feeling that you had. For me, it's the same feeling I had the night that I responded to the murder. You know, memories just start coming back, and just little dots all over town.
So what's happened? We tried this case in 1986, and Keith Bouchard pled guilty for a life sentence and testified against Elizabeth Turpin and Karen Brown at the trial. Judge Armand Angelucci was the judge then, and we tried this case, and we sought the death penalty because they were committing a murder for profit. And I'm told later by a couple of jurors that the first vote was 10 votes for the death penalty for Elizabeth Turpin and 2 for the next most serious penalty. So what happens is she's sentenced in the end of 1986, and her sentence was a life sentence, and she could not be considered for parole for 25 years. She had to serve 25 years before she's even eligible to be considered for parole. Well, let's fast forward to January 31st, 2011. It's 25 years, and she's coming up for parole. And Don Turpin, her former father-in-law, Maggie Winstanley, Michael's mom, they're having this parole hearing. They call it a victim impact hearing, where they talk about the impact this crime has had on them and that sort of thing. And I'm told that that this parole board has never had as much media interest in a parole hearing, in a victim impact hearing. And I'm going up, I'm picking up Judge Angelucci, and I'm driving him over. And he's going to talk.
The judge?
The judge is going to talk.
That's fairly unprecedented, too.
Well, he's retired now. And I was just talking to him yesterday about the case. And he said, you know, I know, as I sat there on the bench and watched this trial transpire, I said, I was looking at the Turpins, Don Turpin and Maggie Winstanley, and I saw the pain that they were, it was so obvious, the pain that they were suffering as a result of the loss of a child 25 years ago. And he said, little did I know that a couple of months after Michael Turpin was killed and tried, and then we sentenced that woman, a couple of months later, I experienced the same thing. My son, Joe, went out to serve a mental warrant on a guy named William Bennett. William Bennett took his gun away from him and shot him, shot my son Joe.
He killed
Joe Angelucci, deputy sheriff. He said, I know the pain. I know the pain when it happened, and the pain is not a heck of a lot different 25 years later. So I'm going to be able to tell them all about that. I'm also going to be able to tell them what a manipulating person this woman is. So what I intend to do, what I intend to say at this hearing is that when we tried this case, that I had never met a woman that I considered more evil, more manipulative than Elizabeth Turpin. And that when the jury found her guilty, they sentenced her to life